You mentioned the three oil companies being the top Fortune 500 companies. Issue that we've seen this week, the issue of oil subsidies, but also farm subsidies. Can this government, can our economy continue to sustain, frankly, subsidizing farmers, subsidizing oil companies, when, on the other hand, Republicans are saying, let's cut, and get the deficit under control?
You know, it depends, Roland, on what we mean by farm subsidies. If you're talking about conservation payments to farmers, I would say that that's something we need to continue to do.
First of all, what is, for the person at home saying, I don't know what that is, what is that?
Conservation payments are payments that the government helps farmers to do conservation on their land, to create buffer strips to avoid chemicals and pesticides getting into rivers and streams, makes it harder for us to have clean water. I think most people want conservation. They want to maintain the soil, they want to clean the water. If we're talking about crop insurance, that's a program that basically says to those farmers in the Mississippi River area that are now seeing their lands being flooded because of natural causes and their crop totally wiped out, here's going to be some help for you during this tough period. Most folks will say insurance is a good idea. I think what most people are concerned about are the direct payments, the payments, checks that go to farmers who are doing quite well in this economy. The President and I have proposed reductions in those payments.
How much money are we talking about?
Well, that's the other thing. Everyone thinks this is a huge amount of money. Direct payments are somewhere in the neighborhood of $5 to $6 billion.
Now, the reason I asked that question, because earlier we had Secretary of Labor Hilda Solis, and she was talking about the summer jobs program. The funding for that was almost $1 billion. And so here we are making direct payments to farmers, and frankly, to what? Not grow? Is that what these subsidies are for?
No. It's essentially a safety net for farmers who grow certain commodities. So they get it regardless of whether they're growing or not growing. This isn't about idling land. This is
so getting checks whether they grow or not.
Right, and here's why. 800,000 farmers are primarily responsible for producing 90% of what we eat. Of those 800,000 farmers, 600,000 honestly don't make any money from their farming operation. They may average $10,000 in income from their farming operation.
Okay.
So if you want to keep those folks on the farm, you want to keep them helping to populate rural communities and supporting the rural parts of this country, they need some degree of safety net. They need some degree of help and assistance. The real issue here are the folks who are making very good money in this economy. Maybe it's time for us to take a look at whether or not those folks actually need a direct payment from the government, whether they need that kind of financial assistance. That's why the President has proposed reducing subsidies to those individuals.
Okay. It's very interesting. I think in some areas they call them subsidies, other areas they call them welfare. Sounds to me like it's the same. Secretary